All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite dark sorcerer here, Angelus, son of Abaddon. Now, tonight I want to discuss something with you about accusations. Accusations and sorceries, basically. Okay? Now, specifically that of folklore. All right? A lot of individuals can go around and cast stones. Okay? And they can cast stones because they have nothing better to do. They believe in modern day propaganda. Not many people actually do their homework. Okay. And I'm gonna kind of just spell this out for you because of the fact I think it's something that really needs to be said and put out there in the world. A couple months ago, something came to light about the Mazajir Cabal system. Okay. And we know that the AGM at the time, Sumner Threadwood, has been excommunicated, basically. And a new EAGM, elected Grand Master, ascended Grand Master, rather, was put into place. Okay. Now, a lot of this was due to Sumner's own, you know, stupidity. But the works that he put out was actually something based off facts, things that were based off truth. Okay. It's like a name such as Angelus. Okay. Now, you can trace the name Angelus back to two different folklores. Angelic folklore, if you follow Latin mythology, meaning dark angel. Okay. It is a female archetype in Latin. In Celtic, specifically that of Gaelic, okay, it is a masculine name and an alpha, basically, the dominant species within folklore, the Fae traditions, or what commonly is now referred to as Fae. And that is the draconic current, a dragon, okay? And it is a draconic name, Angelus, son of Abaddon, for an example. The angelic destroyer, the holder of the keys to the bottomless pit. Fitting, isn't it? Knowing this destroyer, knowing that it's a draconic name. Kind of like the gods and the beings that the Mazajira Cabal system worships. Okay. For an example, Connersburg, or Chernobog, rather. Chenobog. Okay. Except for in the Mazajira, they removed the H. Okay. But if you go into Slavic traditions of sorcery, you see this. If you go into the Drelith, you can go into Germanic, Slavic, Indo European roots, go into Norse mythology, and you're going to see the Fae. You're going to see the Elven, to be precise, the Light and the Dark Elven. Okay, the Elvish people the white-skinned beings, the white-haired beings associated with knowledge and angelic immortality versus the dark elves, the destroyers, bringer of plagues. These are beings of evil that are known commonly as demonic. Okay, especially if you follow the Greek definition of daemon. You have the daemon who is beneficial to mankind, and then you have the coco daemon, which is considered baneful and harmful to mankind, and therefore bringing destructions, plagues, being tricksters, things that would harm the practitioner or the individual mundane human. Okay. The Sith, or better yet, known as Sadi, okay, if you follow the Irish versus the Scottish traditions. Okay. The people of the mounds. You see, they made a deal with their enemy. In a lot of sense, if you read down through the scrolls and the writing, it sounds a lot like God and the devil, Ohura Mazda, and say, for an example, Orion and Zoroastrianism being, making a deal. He rules the world, and Ahura Mazda, or Orion rather, creates all this misfortune, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak. Every tradition has them. The witch, the warlock, the sorcerer, the bokor. You look at the mythology behind these beings. Okay, the accusations put forth by about bokors in Voodoo is that they are of lesser value, that they are evil, because when you look at what they don't just offer their services to the public. They work with the Demerge demons. They work and cast spells for personal gain. Hey, Noel, how you doing? And then you got the warlock, considered to be an oath breaker and betrayer. But yet, if you go all the way back throughout the traditions in the regions of the old world, such as the Hexia, the Strega, the witch, okay, they're seen as men and women, people who are considered to be renowned for their knowledge, much like the Magi or Sage, the Magus, okay? And a lot of people put the emphasis upon the titles. I had an individual about, I want to say about 2 or 3 weeks ago, somebody that used to follow me and the work that I put forth. She sat there and she called me a fake because, making that accusation, and then said, "Well, look at all the titles he's got on his page, directing the gaze to titles." You see, that's like going into a pagan group and announcing, "Hey, I'm a warlock." All of a sudden, you can have this entire script about the heritage, the rich mythology and history from various different sources that basically put what they've been taught to shame. And all they're going to do is look at that one little word, warlock. But titles, degrees such as magistrate, magus, black pope. You see, these are titles. These are things that you earn within religious perspectives. Much like when you work with a spirit, you have to earn their trust. You have to work with them on a mutual relationship. They teach, you learn, you listen, You are guided to the sources in the material. You see, it's no different from joining, say, the Church of Satan or the Temple of the Feminine Divine, the Witch's Voice, or perhaps one of the Palo Mayumbi houses, okay, or a Santeria, maybe a Bruja. I got a friend of mine that's a Bruja. Okay, he grew up in the Cuban heritage. Okay, a hereditary family line, a lineage, and he pointed out, well, you're just an occultist. Well, yeah, I am an occultist, but I'm also a seeker of knowledge and wisdom. I don't care where that source comes from. It could be, say, for an example, the right hand path, the left hand path. It could be from demons. It could be from the fallen angels. It could be from the jinn. I don't care if it comes from Zoroastrianism, Satanism, Wicca, Wiccan, Palo Mayumbi. It's the current that you connect to that matters. And it's how you learn the mythology, the history, and how you have self motivation to grow as an individual. Okay. Now, I was sitting here and I was going through my book, my grimoire. This is a grimoire of the Mazajira Cabal system that I've been working with over the last year. Okay. It's one of two that I've put together. The other, the other, which I refer to as my main grimoire, as you could see. Okay. It's a 3-ring binder, but you'll notice the pages are protected by the sleeves. Okay. Now, what's interesting to note is that I was going down through these grimoires tonight, and I was thinking about this because I was having a conversation with some friends of mine, some fellow practitioners, dark sorcerers, sorceresses, people who are into the actual knowledge and growing within enlightenment. And it was brought to my attention about accusations being made against an organization, like, say, let's go with how to become a living god, dark sorcery, or say, for an example, well, let's go with my order, the Order of the Black Thorn. Okay. When I started the order, first of all, let me start here. When I started the Order of the Black Thorn, I wanted it based off truth. I wanted it based off education, enlightenment, and actual facts and sorceries from various different regions of the world. It didn't matter the the religious perspective of it. You know, I taught from what I was taught, you know, from voodoo to Satanism, witchcraft, shamanism, druidism, Palo Mayumbi, Santeria, Santa Morte, Quimbanda, and you know, even that is still growing. But after about 10 years of running the order, I actually archived it because I'm kind of bored with it. You know, it's like I feel like I've outgrown that aspect. It's from the Order of the Nine Angles. Running an order for a year is a challenge that's put forth to a traditional Satanist. Okay. I've been running this order for 10 years. 10 years, just about. Almost 10 years. You know? And even before I created it, I ran this other foundation called the Church of Belial. And I wanted that based off Belial himself, he who has no master, who goes all the way back to the scroll of Amran out of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And it was a place for individuals who wanted to grow, you know? But even with that, I got bored, but learning to do things and doing things from a historical point of view, things that you've never really gotten into. And it's funny because after about 5 years of running the Order of the Black Thorn, I got into the traditional Satanism because up until this point, I've been a theistic and spiritual Satanist. And what's funny is when you get into the Order of the Nine Angles and you start reading the material and you learn about their challenges and the challenges put forth and how you rise up the ranks, the titles. Running a foundation is one of them. You have to run your own organization, your own temple, your own church, your own order for a year. You see, it's these ranks that you earn. Now, last year, a satanic sister of mine, a satanic witch, she she basically was talking to me about a brother of mine, John Saunders. Okay, and I never really thought about the titles. I never really thought about the rankings systems that much and where I wanted to be. Hell, I didn't even think it was a competition. Okay. And she came out of nowhere, right out of the blue, and said that he and I were competing for the position of Black Pope. The Black Pope, which is a satanic high priest. Okay. Now I looked right at him and said, "You want that office? You can have it." Because I'm not interested in it. I'm really not. And ironically, it was actually Facebook that changed it from the Magus of the Order of the Black Thorn to the Black Pope. I just went with it because it was, to me, it was kind of humorous. Yeah, and I mean, the last person to actually have that title was Anton Zander LaVey, a practicing devil worshiper. Okay, so to be considered somebody who is running for that position, that's an honor. Okay, it really is. Especially when people see you as an elder and they see you as a high ranking member of the community, somebody who's respected and knowledgeable. Okay. Just like when you work with a spirit, it's the same exact thing. You have to earn their respect, you have to earn their trust, and they will guide you, just like I guide those who come to me. It's that you share with me and I share with them type atmosphere. I mean, think of the Witch's Creed: to know, to dare, to will, to keep silent, and to go forth. Okay? The Witch's Creed, the Witch's Pyramid, the Witch's Oath. Okay? Now, going beyond this, a lot of people view how to become a living God as a fake, as as a group that's only in it for popularity and money. Well, I can tell you that I've actually practiced some of the rituals put forth by E.A. Coetti, J.S. Garrett, Orly Stewart, and J.D. Temple and Asenath Mason. Okay, and I can tell you that a lot of what they've done works. It actually works. It's a system that works. Okay. Now, just because it doesn't relate to you and it doesn't speak to you doesn't mean it's not a working system, because it is. Just like if you were into working with Pan, the Greek god of fertility, okay, and nature, out of Greek mythology. Just because he doesn't resonate with you doesn't mean you won't be able to work with, say, Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft, necromancy, ghosts, the underworld, and justice. Or perhaps Thor, the god of lightning, god of thunder. Okay? You have to find what works for you and how you relate to the systems out there. And then you got dark sorcery. There's been a few attacks upon them, a few haters, just like there has been with all of us. It could be because we are public figures, we're educators, we're doing things that goes against society. But isn't that what the image of Satan is? Ha Satan, meaning accuser. Or how about the Islamic tradition? El Shaitan, meaning opposer, accuser, tempter. This is Jewish, JCI type stuff. But the left-hand path is about individualism. It's about learning. It's about self-evolution. It is about spiritual awakening. Gnosis. The Gnostic Gnosis. The rituals, the arts, the practices, the rich mythology. You consider, just in this book alone, I found it very interesting when I was going through it. I have literally about 4 to 5 pages just on the Drelith. Another 4 pages just on the Sith. 2 pages of Chernobog. Okay? And don't even get me started upon this one. You see, accusations are like publicity. There is no bad publicity. There really isn't. You can sit there and say these gods didn't exist as an atheist perspective. You can say, well, look at this person. He's got this name that modern day society relates to Hollywood produced productions. Well, if you don't go into mythology, if you don't go into history, doesn't that make you the hypocrite, the fool? Because you don't know what you speak on? Think about it for a moment. If you don't know what you're talking about, how can you speak on something that you know nothing about? That would be like a Christian. A prime example is, what's his name there? John Ramsey, I think his name is. He's a Christian who claims to, in every video, claims to be an ex something. But yet, if you watch his videos and you actually listen to how he speaks, all he says is this is devil worship. This is another form of devil worship, sitting right next to a statue, a graven image, which of Jesus Christ. You got Saint Death, most holy death, Santa Morte, a statue, a graven image, right next to Jesus Christ. He claims to be an ex-devil worshiper. He claims to be an ex-Satanist. He claims to be an ex-Santa Morte practitioner. He claims to be an ex something in just about every video that he's ever been in. And includes on talk shows that he actually has done. No actual proof to back up what he claims. And he's not the only one out there that does this stuff. We all have enemies. We all have haters. A lot of us simply ignore it, and they eventually go away because they get bored. But some individuals need more convincing. Now, you can go to the legal system and file a report, but how does that deal with an individual from a different country? Or perhaps, why not turn to black magic, dark sorcery, and simply teach them a lesson? A hex, a curse, or perhaps your basic maledictorum, a self made curse. But then again, these individuals, they show the world who they really are. But at the same time, they defeat themselves. So what's the point of even raising a finger? So what's interesting to note is that without knowing your mythology of the roots and the regions, the time periods, and you take Angelus, like I said, goes back to 2 points of origin: Latin and Celtic. Celtic meaning dragon. Dragon. The top species. My teacher in paganism, my former teacher, he always taught me that the dragons were the top of the food chain in the Fae lore, the most powerful beings. But like I said, that was before I found out that he was nothing more than a storyteller. He made a lot of shit up, and so did his wife, which is why I separated from him. You're going to find things like this all the time. So you really have to do your own homework. You really should get into mythology and history, and don't make accusations. When you make accusations, you're just making yourself look like a hypocrite, and you're literally going to make yourself look like a fool. Do your own homework. Don't take somebody else's advice, or believe the words coming to you from somebody else. I can sit there and I can tell you the region. I can sit there and tell you, well, the Sith, okay, is actually known as the Sidi, the people of the mounds. Sidi is Scottish. Sith is Irish. Same beings, two countries, two regions. Just like the Draelith or Elven from Scottish going into, say, for an example, Germanic to European, related to the little people, the pale beings. In European, they're associated with the Hobbit. Not joking. The Hobbit. Can you believe it? The Hobbit. But like I said, do your own research. Don't take. All I can do is lead you to the sources in the material. Just like E.A. Coetting does. Just like Dark Sorcery does. Just like so many of us that are public figures that are just teaching you, educating you. For those of you who wish to learn, folklore versus accusations. Accusations versus folklore. 10 times out of 10, folklore and mythology is going to win out, just like history is going to win out. Why? Because it's backed up. This is why you should always back up what you preach and always make yourself available to the public, because you answer to the public for your misdeeds and for your wrongdoings. So if you lead somebody down the wrong path, that's on you. You have to be the one to take responsibility for that. I mean, look at the Satanic Bible, the 9 Satanic Statements. Don't you find it interesting that Satan represents responsibility to the responsible? Guess that cat's out of the bag, but it's there. All right. Have a good night. And I'm going to be beginning the witchcraft series tomorrow. All right. And also check out Dark Sorcery channel, because starting tomorrow as well, I will be doing the witchcraft series tomorrow in full detail on that channel. And I will be doing these twice a week until it's completed on that one. Whereas on my channel, I'm just going to be putting it out there. I can do 4 videos a week or more if I choose. All right. So with that said, I want to thank Ethan Ross and Noel Wilding for appearing here. And no, Ethan, there is no content notifications, because this video and most of my videos are not for kids. I do not teach kids. I do not share my content with children. Okay. The only videos that I made for kids was the sorcery ones, because it was things that had been coming up that needed to be said. When I get into full details of what the practices are and what they are about, Ethan, it's for adults only. Okay? I can teach the history, the mythology, the regions. That's one thing. But when you get into rituals, ceremonies, and actual practices, that is not for minors. And I will not share that knowledge with minors, because they are not, how should I say, honorable enough to honor those practices. They do not understand or take seriously what these energies and these currents and these path workings can do. They think it's a joke. They think it's a game. Therefore, it is unwise to teach this to minors. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. You go to Wiccans, you go to pagans, you go to Satanists, they're going to tell you the exact same thing. Same thing with necromancers. They're going to tell you the exact same thing. So with that said, I hope this has been enlightening. And there's one other thing that, Ethan, that goes along with that, is with today's laws, if you do end up teaching a minor, anyone under 18, you have to discuss things with their parents, and you have to get parental permission. And that is if you don't get slapped with a lawsuit or something else, even worse than that. Okay? Because there's legal ramifications if you do. Okay? That's another massive thing, which is why I don't teach kids. Just like most of us don't teach children, anyone under the legal age. All right? So with that said, I hope this has been enlightening. I hope it's been educational, thought provocative, even, and I hope it's been intellectual. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to message me. I will make myself available to you. I have the next 3 days off from work, so I'll be spending a lot of time reading, researching, practicing, and being online. All right, so with that said, have a good day.